I didn't realize the exact moment my family stopped seeing me as human. It wasn't when they ignored my feelings. It wasn't when they laughed at my expense. It was when they accepted a gift worth more than my yearly savings and then humiliated me for giving it. That was the moment I understood something painful and permanent. I wasn't their sister. I wasn't their aunt. I was their convenience. And the second I stopped being useful, they turned me into the joke. My name is Elena Brooks. I'm 40 years old, and if you asked my family to describe me, they'd say the same things every time. Quiet, reliable, the one who always has it together. What they would never say is important. I built my life carefully, brick by brick, number by number. I run a small accounting firm downtown. Nothing glamorous, no flashy sign, just steady work, predictable income, and clients who trust me. I like numbers because they follow rules. Numbers don't shout, they don't twist your words, they don't turn generosity into a punchline. Most evenings I come home, kick off my heels, make tea, and sit in silence that feels earned. I don't hate being alone. I hate being disrespected. I do have a boyfriend. His name is Marcus. He travels a lot for work, which is probably why we work. Once, years ago, he said something that stuck with me in a way I didn't fully understand at the time. You don't owe people access to you just because you share blood. I remember smiling, nodding, and changing the subject. Back then, it sounded dramatic. Now I know it was prophetic. Family has always been complicated for me, especially my older sister Marlene. She's 6 years older, strong in the way exhaustion hardens people, fiercely protective but blind when it comes to her son. Her son Dylan is 20 now. His father disappeared before Dylan could form memories. Marlene filled every role herself: provider, protector, defender, excuse maker. I don't blame her for how hard it was. I blame her for what she refused to see. Dylan grew up loud. At first it was charming, the funny kid, the one who filled silences, the one adults excused because he's just joking. But humor slowly turned into a weapon. He learned that people laughed faster when someone else was bleeding. At family dinners, Dylan always positioned himself at the center. When he mocked our uncle's weight, people laughed. When he joked about our cousin's job, they laughed louder. When he teased me for being single, childless, married to spreadsheets, they laughed the hardest. I learned to smile thinly, to talk less, to give less. Still, hope is stubborn. When Dylan's 20th birthday started creeping closer on the calendar, I felt that familiar, dangerous tug in my chest. The one that always whispered, maybe this time will be different. Every instinct I had told me to stay out of it, to keep my distance, to stop trying to fix what I didn't break. But hope has a way of disguising itself as responsibility, and I let it talk me into one more chance. Not because Dylan had earned it, not because his behavior suggested growth, but because I wanted to believe that kindness, delivered at the right moment, could still redirect someone before the damage became permanent. For months, he'd been talking about a truck. Not dreaming about it, complaining about how unfair it was that other people his age had help, about how hard his life was, about how exhausting it felt to work warehouse shifts and pick up odd jobs while everyone else seemed to get ahead. Every conversation carried the same undercurrent of resentment, as if the world owed him something it was cruelly withholding. I listened. I nodded. I absorbed the frustration he never took responsibility for. And somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that giving him something tangible, something heavy, something real, might anchor him. That responsibility might grow where entitlement had been allowed to thrive. But maybe, just maybe, being trusted with something valuable would force him to rise to it. So I told no one. I didn't ask for opinions. I didn't look for permission. I didn't even allow myself time to second-guess the idea. A week before his birthday, I walked into the dealership alone, the way I'd learned to do most important things in my life. I sat across from a smiling salesman and signed my name again and again, each signature feeling like a quiet gamble. No cosigner, no discussion, no hesitation. I paid in full. A brand new black pickup truck. I stood there while they detailed it, watching the water bead and slide off the hood, imagining Dylan's face when he saw it. The shock, the disbelief. The moment where his usual bravado might crack just enough to let gratitude show through. I pictured him looking at me, not as the punchline, not as the quiet aunt, but as someone who mattered. What I didn't realize then was that the version of Dylan I was imagining no longer existed, and maybe never had. The birthday dinner was chaos in the way only family can be. Lasagna in the oven, garlic bread burning at the edges, cheap wine, balloons sagging against the ceiling. When it was time for gifts, I handed Dylan a small box, just the keys. He stared at them, confused. Then he bolted outside. Everyone followed. The truck sat under the streetlight, gleaming like it didn't belong to us. Dylan froze. For a brief moment, his face flickered. Shock, pride, disbelief. And for one dangerous second, I thought I saw gratitude. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even pace. I just stood in the quiet of my apartment, the hum of the refrigerator, and the faint flicker of the streetlights outside the window, filling the silence like a mocking audience. I replayed the moment over and over in my mind, Dylan holding the keys, his eyes wide, that brief flicker of something vulnerable that I thought might still be inside him. And then the moment he laughed, that loud, cruel, casual laughter that belonged to someone completely untethered, someone who didn't care who got hurt along the way. It hit me then, like a blade cutting through all pretense. It wasn't just Dylan. It was all of them, my family. They didn't just tolerate his cruelty, they reveled in it. Each joke at my expense, each moment he twisted someone else into the punchline, they didn't stop him, they encouraged him. Their laughter wasn't nervous or polite, it was sharp, satisfying, indulgent. I felt a cold, sinking weight in my chest. The betrayal wasn't just his, it was theirs too. And then the phone started, at 6:13 a.m., buzzing insistently on the counter. I ignored it at first, letting the sound become a background hum, a minor annoyance in the quiet aftermath of the evening. But the buzzing didn't stop. It grew urgent, demanding attention. By 7:30, the screen showed 65 missed calls. Every single one a tiny accusation, a demand, a claim on my time, my presence, my compliance. And then Marlene's text arrived. "Where's the truck?" No thank you, no recognition of the gift, no pause to even consider the impact of my choice, just a blunt, entitled demand. My fingers hovered over the phone, a mix of anger and disbelief churning inside me. I already knew, before even typing a response, or rather, before even considering responding, that this was only the beginning. The real storm wasn't Dylan's reaction. The real storm was the world that had allowed him to become this way. And now I was standing on the edge of it, watching the chaos ripple outward, wondering exactly how far I would have to go to set things right. I set the phone down, let it buzz itself into silence, let it vibrate against the kitchen counter, a reminder of all the ways people could fail when given the chance. And in that quiet, a strange clarity settled over me. Anger wasn't my driver anymore. Cold calculation was. I could either step back and let them all enjoy the chaos they had created, or I could do something about it, something that would ensure they remembered exactly what had been done, and by whom. The first move had already been made. The next ones would be mine. I didn't answer a single call. Not Dylan's. Not my sister's. Not the relatives who laughed the night before and suddenly woke up with morals. At 3 a.m., I got dressed and drove back. The truck was still in the driveway, waiting. I slipped into the driver's seat, started the engine, and rolled away slowly. Back in my garage, I shut off the GPS tracker, silenced the app, unplugged the battery, and covered the truck with a tarp. If I didn't exist to them, then the gift didn't either. Later that morning, tires screeched into my driveway. Dylan didn't knock. He pounded. He pushed past me like my space was optional. He insulted me, mocked my life, told me the truck was about me needing to feel important. Then he smiled. That familiar, cruel smile. I slapped him. Not hard, just loud enough to end the moment. "Get out," I said. And for the first time, he did. Minutes later, Marlene called. Dylan had crashed her car. Wet pavement, speeding, stop sign. Not his first crash. Later that afternoon, Marlene sat on my couch and said something she'd never said before. I don't think he deserves it. For the first time in years, I believed her. Dylan bounced from relative to relative. Each one welcomed him with sympathy. Each one kicked him out within days. Funny how fast compassion dies when it costs peace. Meanwhile, the truck sat under a tarp, a sealed regret. Marlene came to my garage one afternoon and said, "Take it back. Don't ever give him something that big again." So I did. I called the dealership. But before they could pick it up, Dylan found the spare key. My phone rang. FaceTime. Dylan's face filled the screen, grinning, driving, my truck. "I found the spare key," he laughed. I begged him to pull over. The screen went black. The truck was totaled. He survived. At the hospital, Dylan wouldn't look at me. Later, a nurse told Marlene he whispered that I had taken everything from him. That's when I understood. He truly believed he was the victim, but this time, no one rescued him. Months passed. Therapy, a job, small payments. Dylan showed up differently. Not fixed, not forgiven, accountable. I didn't save him. I didn't punish him. I stepped back. Family doesn't mean unlimited access. Love doesn't mean endless sacrifice. And kindness without boundaries isn't kindness. It's permission. I didn't lose my family that night. I finally found myself.